Welcome back. Today we're focusing on a very difficult subject, the events surrounding the Leongatha mushroom poisoning case from July 2023.
Yes, it's a truly tragic case, and with the trial now underway in Morwell, it feels important to, well, lay out the sequence of events as we currently understand them.
Absolutely. We want to do this respectfully, sticking strictly to the known facts presented chronologically. Our aim is to follow the timeline from that initial meal right up to the present day in court.
And we're drawing this information from, news reports, court transcripts that are becoming available, and other public sources. It's about piecing together that timeline carefully.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning. Saturday, July 29th, 2023. There's a lunch at Aaron Patterson's home in Leongatha.
That's right. The attendees were Dawn and Gail Patterson, her estranged husband's parents, and Heather and Ian Wilkinson.
Aaron's husband, Simon Patterson, he was invited.
He was, yes, but apparently he declined. Said he felt too uncomfortable to attend.
And the meal itself?
Yeah.
What was served?
It was described as steak, wrapped in pastry with a mushroom paste. Mashed potatoes and greens on the side. One person later called it delicious.
Just seems like a normal lunch on the surface.
It does, though Ian Wilkinson later mentioned in court that his wife Heather was really thrilled about the invitation.
Thrilled? Why?
Well, he said it seemed quite sudden, and they weren't really given a specific reason for the get-together, just an invitation.
Interesting. And there was something else Ian noticed during the meal, something about the plates.
Yes, that's come out in the testimony. He and Heather apparently noticed that their plates, and Dawn and Gail's, were gray.
Okay.
But Aaron Patterson's plate was different, described as sort of orangey tan.
A detail noted at the time. All right, let's move to the next day, Sunday, July 30th.
This is when things took a terrible turn. Overnight, Dawn, Gail, Ian, and Heather all became severely ill. Vomiting, diarrhea, classic signs of poisoning.
And what about Erin Patterson herself?
Well, her son reportedly noticed she was a little bit quieter that Sunday morning. She apparently complained of feeling sick, too, with diarrhea.
So the family didn't go to church that day because of it?
Correct. Later that day, Simon Patterson messaged his siblings.
What did he say?
He told them their parents, Dawn and Gail, were in Cornborough Hospital, and that Ian and Heather were in Leongatha Hospital with the same symptoms.
And he mentioned Aaron.
Yeah, he said Aaron also had diarrhea, but was soldiering on at home, was the phrase used.
Right. But Dawn and Gail's condition worsened.
It seems so. They were transferred later that day, July 30th, to Dandenong Hospital. Things were clearly getting more serious.
And back at Aaron's house that evening, there were leftovers from the lunch.
Yes. This has become a point of focus. She reportedly served her children leftovers, mashed potatoes, green beans, steak.
But not the mushrooms.
Crucially, no. The children apparently didn't eat any mushrooms because they didn't like them. That's the account.
Okay, so moving into Monday, July 31st.
A very significant day. Simon Patterson urged Aaron to go to the hospital. He even offered her a ride.
I mean, did she go?
Eventually, yes. She admitted herself to Leongatha Hospital.
And she spoke to a doctor there.
She did. Dr. Christopher Webster. And she told him, reportedly, that she'd bought the mushrooms from Woolworths.
Just Woolworths at that point?
That's what was stated then, yes. But Dr. Webster was also treating Ian and Heather Wilkinson.
Ah, so he was connecting the dots.
Exactly. He was becoming aware of the potential for mushroom poisoning, specifically death caps. And then he realized something concerning.
What was that?
He realized Aaron Patterson had left the hospital against medical advice, right after he'd warned her about the possibility of death cap poisoning.
She just left?
Apparently so, which understandably worried Dr. Webster greatly.
So what did he do?
He tried calling her several times, left voicemails. He told her he was concerned for her health and safety, and that he'd have to contact the police if he couldn't reach her.
Did he contact the police?
He informed his bosses first, and then, yes, as a result, the police did a welfare check.
Who went?
Senior Constable Adrian Martinez Villalobos and a partner went to Aaron Patterson's home that Monday.
Also on that Monday, there was contact between Aaron and other family members.
Yes. Tanya Patterson, who is Matthew Patterson's wife, Matthew, being Dawn and Gail's son, asked Aaron to visit her in hospital.
And Aaron went.
She agreed, yes. During that visit, Aaron apparently said she knew about the others being sick, and while she was there, she got her own blood test results.
What did they show?
They indicated she was fine, apparently, and could go home.
Okay. And later that day, another phone call.
Right. Matthew Patterson called Erin directly. He asked her specifically, where did the mushrooms come from?
And what did she say this time?
According to Matthew's testimony, she said Woolworths and a Chinese grocer in Oakley.
So a slightly different account now.
Yes. And Matthew relayed that information to the doctors who were treating his father.
And then there was an email. Still on July 31st?
Yes. Erin sent an email to Matthew and Tanya, and also included Simon.
What was the email about?
It was asking them to look after her children if Child Protection Services got involved.
Wow. That suggests she was anticipating some serious repercussions.
It certainly implies an awareness of the gravity of the situation, yes.
Then we move into early August 2023. And this is the truly devastating part.
It is. Don Patterson, Gail Patterson, and Heather Wilkinson all passed away in the hospital.
Just awful. And Ian Wilkinson.
He was still critically ill. He remained in hospital for well over 7 weeks. He needed, and thankfully received, a liver transplant.
An incredibly long and difficult time for him. When was he finally discharged?
He was released from hospital on September 23rd, 2023.
Meanwhile, the police investigation was obviously proceeding.
Yes. And on August 14th, 2023, the police confirmed they had received a detailed written statement from Erin Patterson.
What did she say in that statement about the mushrooms?
In that statement, she reportedly said she'd bought dried mushrooms from an Asian supermarket in Mount Waverly.
Mount Waverly? That's different again.
Yes. And she apparently said she'd bought them 3 months before the lunch.
So the story about the mushroom source kept changing.
That's what the sequence of accounts suggests, yes.
After Ian's release, there was Heather Wilkinson's funeral.
Yes, that was held on October 4th, 2023, a very somber time for the community.
And then the legal process started to move forward more publicly.
Correct. Fast forward to May 7th, 2024. Erin Patterson formally pleaded not guilty in court.
What were the charges?
3 counts of murder for Dawn, Gail, and Heather, and 1 count of attempted murder for Ian Wilkinson. It was also indicated her trial would be fast-tracked.
And now we're into 2025 with the trial underway. What happened around April 30th?
That's when the prosecution outlined its case. They alleged Erin Patterson had lied about several things.
Assess.
They alleged she lied about being sick herself after the lunch, lied about her children eating leftovers that included mushrooms, lied about where she bought some of the mushrooms, specifically the Asian grocer part, and lied about getting rid of a food dehydrator.
A dehydrator. That came up too.
Yes. And the prosecution also alleged she had falsely claimed at some point to have cancer.
That's a lot of alleged falsehoods. What was the defense's position?
The defense argued that she essentially panicked after her guests got sick, that her actions stemmed from panic, not malice.
A very different interpretation. So the trial began on May 6, 2025 in Morwell.
Yes. Ian Wilkinson testified early on. He recounted the lunch, the illness setting in rapidly. He also confirmed what his wife Heather had noticed, the different colored plates.
Right, the gray versus the orangey tan.
Exactly. He described the meal, the pastry, steak, mushrooms, and the urgent hospital transfer once mushroom poisoning was suspected.
Who else testified on that first day?
A nurse, Cindy Monroe from Leongatha Hospital. She testified that when Erin Patterson came in, she didn't seem as unwell as Ian and Heather had been.
Interesting observation from a medical professional.
Yes. Monroe also mentioned Erin initially didn't want her children involved or checked, but agreed after some reassurance.
And the victims' families testified.
Yes. Ruth Dubois, Ian and Heather's daughter, testified. She mentioned that the invitation to the lunch had seemed confusing or unexpected to her parents and to her as well.
Okay. And Matthew Patterson, Dawn and Gail's son.
He testified about that crucial phone call on July 31st, asking Erin where the mushrooms were from. He repeated her answer, Woolworths and the Chinese grocer in Oakley, and how he told the doctors.
Did he mention the email too?
Yes, the email asking him and Tanya to care for the children. And another significant point came up in his testimony.
What was that?
He confirmed that he and his wife had received a $400,000 loan from Erin and Simon back in 2011 to buy their house.
A substantial amount of money. Was that the only loan mentioned?
No. Belinda Tranter, Dawn and Gail's daughter, also testified. She shared a message from her brother Simon from that Sunday telling them about the illnesses.
And she visited her parents in hospital.
She did. She mentioned a brief chat with her mother, Gail, who apparently said Erin wanted to have the lunch to discuss a medical issue Erin was having.
A medical issue. And did Belinda also receive a loan?
Yes. She confirmed that she and her husband had also received a $400,000 loan from Erin and Simon also for their home.
So both siblings had received large loans. That's certainly part of the context now. What about Aaron's friends?
Two online friends, Daniela Barkley and Jenny Hay, testified. They were part of a small online group with Aaron.
What did they talk about?
They said Aaron discussed her relationship with Simon and also her interest in making beef Wellington.
Beef Wellington often involves mushrooms.
Indeed. Jenny Hay specifically recalled Aaron mentioning buying mushrooms from an Asian grocer and using a dehydrator to make mushroom powder.
Mushroom powder? For what?
Apparently, according to Hay's testimony, Aaron said she used it in her children's food.
But Hay also said something about foraging.
Crucially, yes. Jenny Hay stated the topic of foraging for wild mushrooms never came up in their online chats.
Okay, moving to the next day of the trial, May 7th, 2025. Simon Patterson finished his testimony.
Yes. He described his relationship with Aaron as toxic. He mentioned her leaving him multiple times, disagreements over child support. Things apparently got worse in late 2022.
And he confirmed why he didn't go to the lunch.
Yes, reiterated he felt too uncomfortable. He also spoke about Aaron's anger about their separation.
Jenny Hay also testified again briefly.
Yes, just to reiterate that foraging was never discussed.
And then there was the document about the cancer claim.
Right. A document from the Victorian Department of Health was presented. It stated there was no record of cancer for Aaron Patterson, directly contradicting the alleged claim.
And Dr. Webster testified again.
Dr. Christopher Webster, yes. He recounted his interactions with Aaron at the hospital, his surprising concern when she left against medical advice after the death cap warning, and his attempts to contact her.
So that brings us pretty much up to today, May 9th, 2025. The trial is still ongoing.
Exactly. These are the facts and allegations as they've been presented in court so far.
Let's just quickly recap some key factual points that seem clear at this stage. The four guests definitely suffered poisoning consistent with death cap mushrooms.
Yes. Amanita phalloides, highly toxic. We know they grow in Victoria, often under introduced trees like oaks. Just one can be fatal.
And Aaron Patterson's story about where the mushrooms came from, it changed multiple times.
From Woolworths to an Asian supermarket in Mount Waverly bought months prior to a Chinese grocer in Oakley as well. Yes, definite inconsistencies reported there.
It's also established that Aaron herself didn't eat the mushroom part of the meal, nor did her children eat mushrooms in the leftovers.
Correct. Those are key factual points presented.
And her leaving the hospital against medical advice after being warned about death caps is another undisputed event.
Yes, Dr. Webster's testimony covered that clearly.
The large financial loans to Simon's siblings are also now part of the court record.
That's right, $400,000 to each couple.
So you have the prosecution alleging a series of deliberate lies and actions.
And the defense countering that it was all driven by panic. That's the core conflict the jury will have to weigh.
And it's so important for everyone listening to remember, this trial is not over. The full picture is still emerging in court.
Absolutely. We're reporting on the proceedings as they happen, but the final determination of guilt or innocence rests with the court.
These events are undeniably tragic, and our thoughts are truly with the families affected by these terrible losses, the Pattersons and the Wilkinsons. And we continue to wish Ian Wilkinson ongoing strength.
Indeed. It's a heartbreaking situation all around.
We need to stress again that everything discussed is based on current reports and testimony from an ongoing legal process. We will continue to follow this case, so please do subscribe if you'd like updates on significant developments.
And we welcome your thoughtful reflections on the information we presented today. Please share them in the comments below.